Hey, welcome back, Panther fans. My name is David Brown here with Ryan Graham.
Hey, y'all.
And this is State of Atlanta.
Got a little confused there. I don't know. I freaked out. So you remember the loud noise that happened right before we went live?
Before we went on, yeah.
Yeah. So my other computer was offline and went offline, and I was like, "Oh shit! I just ruined the internet!" Like right when we went. So I actually stood up and looked around at stuff while in between, and had just sat back down when we actually went live.
I feel like we've had, after a long string of really kind of getting this down to being our staple thing of starting the show with the little intro and the cracking of the beers, we've really failed for the past 2 months at this, really.
Hey, we did all
Mostly
right
it's
today.
me.
Just given.
Mostly it's me.
we did okay. I just was super awkward about it.
Yeah. Well, how you doing, man? How was your week?
Oh, mostly good. I thought today was Wednesday, but I guess I didn't have a hangover, so that should have been my first cue.
Yeah. Out sick on Wednesdays should be the tagline of our show.
Write it down. Title.
Inlaid on put it in the private chat. Inlaid on Wednesdays or something like that. So yeah, cool, awesome, man. Well, we got some big news. I kind of teased it a little bit on the social media. I'm pretty excited about it. You already know the whole thing, but we're doing our very first big time event as State of Atlanta. I'm pretty excited. I'm calling it State of Atlanta Invades Auburn. We got a 56-person chartered bus that's going to be heading from Atlanta to Auburn for the game on game day, which makes it even more convenient for everybody. And then come back afterwards. We've got some sponsors lined up for some booze to be provided on the bus ride. Bus got Wi-Fi, it's got restrooms, which is very important when you're going to have 56 people probably slamming beer for the 2-hour drive it gets down to Auburn. But I'm pretty excited about it.
I enjoyed drinking all of the beers. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Should I bring the charcuterie board? Is that my job?
Yes, definitely charcuterie board. Try to keep any kind of knives or sharp objects away. Who knows what's going to happen? Bus hits the brakes. The board goes flying. Mac gets stabbed in the eye with an olive fork, and then we're screwed.
Yeah, I'm excited. The thing is not having to drive down there and drive back is worth a lot of money to me. Because otherwise I'd just be buying a hotel down there.
Exactly. That was my thought process. I wanted to do this last year for Alabama, but then they forfeited the game, and so we couldn't do it. And so I had to wait around for Auburn this year. I want to make this an annual thing. I was looking at our future schedules. It works out well because next year there's South Carolina. After that, Charlotte. We got Tech at home would be the out-of-conference game that we'd go to, but I don't need to get a bus for that. Maybe we go to a in-conference game for that. And there's Vandy in 2025. So there's a lot of opportunities to keep this going every year if that goes well, and I think it will. So, I'm pretty excited. And tickets are on sale at, I think I created a little thing for that. Tickets are on sale at auburn.stateofatlanta.com. They're doing early bird pricing. I think they're like $55 right now up until July 6th. If you're a Patreon member, all of our Patreon members are getting $10 off the entire time. So consider joining Patreon to save some money there. And obviously you get all the other discounts and future events and stuff like that. But so that's the big announcement. And also we're going to do our little free ship code is going to be Roadtrip this week as well. So Roadtrip, nice. You get free shipping on our merch at merch.stateofatlanta.com. And there are a bunch of flies in here right now, so I'm probably going to be waving my hand across my face the entire time. So that's a big news. Road trip to
I'm
Auburn,
super psyched, man.
September 25th, there and back same day. I haven't got all the logistics figured out yet, but we'll pick up somewhere around the stadium, drop off somewhere around the stadium, and then return here as soon as the game's over. We don't have a game time yet. That's the hardest thing to plan when you're trying to charter a bus somewhere and they're like, all right, what times? I'm like, I don't know. The game could be sometime around 11 a.m. Central Time and 7 p.m. Central Time. I don't know.
Yeah, anywhere between noon and 8.
So we have a driver for 15 hours, and we'll just have to adjust as we get closer to it. But So more details coming as we get closer to the whole thing, but want to go ahead and get it out there. So check it out, auburn.stateofatlanta.com for your tickets.
That has to be a
All
pretty
right.
common problem, though, right? For this kind of thing. I mean, I guess this isn't all people rent buses for, but I would imagine there's a lot of people who rent buses for similar type things, and there's not a lot of, you don't know exactly what time.
Right. Yeah, the guy seemed kind of understanding about it. He asked about kickoff time, and I told him, he's like, that's fine. We'll just, as soon as you know what it is, then we'll just readjust the contract and get it set up. I'm like, cool. I won't know until maybe 7 to 10 days beforehand. So let's
Nice.
Yeah. So
That's all right. That's cool. I remember taking the GSU bus down to Orlando for Western Kentucky, and how much fun that was. Just being able to party on the bus the whole way down and sleep on the bus the whole way home.
Yeah, I did the same thing. There was a bus that went down to the Auburn basketball game a few years ago, and that's exactly what it was. I mean, just hooting and hollering, party all the way down, and then on the way back, I was still ready to go, and everyone was just passing out. And so I drank silently alone, as I'm prone to do.
Cried a little.
Yeah, because we lost the game. It was such a bummer. He couldn't even drink during it. So I think he couldn't drink during. I don't know if he could drink during or not. I can't remember. I probably shouldn't have either way. But,
drink beer and what?
Yeah.
In the bus?
Well, during the game, I can't remember if they sold alcohol at the stadium.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, on to some Georgia State stuff. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know, man. I don't ever come up with anything.
Well, you did send over something today that makes sense to talk about, since it's going to be the big college football news or college sports news on Thursday, most likely. Looks like NCAA is going to vote to approve the name, image, likeness deals, so college kids can start making money off their look.
We're not kids anymore, David. They're 18 and up usually.
Yeah, but we always refer to them as kids, don't we?
Only when we want people to take their side on whatever we're talking about. We say grown men. We talk about how they're men when we want to paint them as less. I don't know, when we want to argue against them.
They're men when they're going into battle on the gridiron.
Yeah,
but they're kids when they want to go to a school because their girlfriend goes there or whatever it is.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. I guess kind of kids when they're in recruiting, and then men when they actually show up for practice.
Yeah. Well, it's like when you're arguing for their sake for something. So with the name, image, license, be like, come on, man, kids should really just be able to make money off of their own name, We wouldn't say men should. We'd say kids.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess you can kind of, I never thought about it before. I don't think about a lot of stuff, though.
Yeah, I think about that kind of stuff all the time. It's weird.
One of the things you sent an article over, and I'll post links to it in the description, but it's just a UGA post because we know where your fandom really lies. And
hey, come on now. That showed up in my Georgia State feed for whatever reason. I don't know why, but I don't have a Georgia feed set up. I have a Georgia State feed set up.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. A lot of cross-pollination, that kind of stuff. One of the things that said in the article was, so this is just an interim type deal that NCAA has going across. They're waiting for the federal government to kind of come across with a, come on, just
make a policy and live with it. Just stand by it.
I guess what they're trying to do is keep from going back to court again, because they came up with something that not everyone was down with. They want the feds to do it. I'm like, can we keep the feds out of something?
They don't want it to be their decision. They want it to be the Fed's decision. And they say, the excuse they gave was because states are feeling pressure to be on a level playing field, and so they're passing it just because other states are passing it. And it's like, okay, well, one state shouldn't have to pass anything like this, but also right. If they don't pass it, they're not as competitive, and that's just gonna be the game now. And that's fine.
Well, I thought it was kind of cool. They said that NCAA stuff that's going through is, if you are in a state, if your college is in a state that does not have a name, image, and likeness policy or rule or law or whatever, then the NCAA won't, fine you or have any kind of rules against it. So
right. So what do we need the law for?
And that's exactly your point. Is we don't need the law. The NCAA had this restriction themselves.
Right.
And I guess by all these states passing these laws, it was kind of like telling the NCAA they couldn't do this, which I don't know how that fits into your libertarian box of being complaining about what the government can or can't do. These damn flies.
Yes, you do. You know exactly where it goes in that box.
That neither one of them should have ever been putting restrictions on anything.
Well, NCAA, I think, has every right to put restrictions on it, and I wouldn't complain about their ability to do so. I just don't think it's right.
Except for the NCAA is endorsed by the public universities that our tax dollars pay for.
Yeah, just like everything, there are shades of gray.
Yeah. Do you think that there's been a lot of talk about this? Do you think this helps or hurts the P5s or G5s or like any very? I mean, obviously, it's gonna help the kids, the men, the grown adults, the senior citizens out there playing football. But do you think that it is better or worse for one subcategory or another?
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to find out as soon as Thursday, though. That article mentioned a company that was already trying to reach out to 3 different athletes for UGA. And, I don't know who's going to reach out to the Georgia State athletes, but I imagine there might be, one or more that are hearing from people on Thursday.
Well, that company that's reaching out to those kids in Athens is based here in Atlanta, so you figured they could at least take a little martyr ride down to campus and see if they could talk to our guys. Now, yeah, Ben has said multiple times that we're ready for it. That I don't know if he means we, the university, or we, the program, or what, but he says we're ready for it. So I don't know if we'll hear about some deals coming out from our athletes as well on Thursday. But I tend to think that it could be a positive thing for the G5 contenders out there. I think that, when you're competing for these 4-star kids, that you can go to a big program and ride the bench for 3 or 4 years, play your last year, hope to get in the NFL, or you can come to a quote unquote smaller program, have your name out there, be the starter at your position for 4 or 5 years, use whatever your branding if you're talented in that way, or you sign a good deal with a company that can promote you really well. You stand a chance to make a lot of money that you would not get in the P5 program, the bigger program.
Yeah. You mentioned branding, and that sort of sparked something. You read the article, so you saw it too. But the quarterback from I forget where it was, but
Wisconsin.
He had I think it was Wisconsin. Had his own logo and had a pretty flashy little promo video going for himself, which makes me think, he didn't do it. He had hired a company to promote him for Thursday.
Of course. That'll be kind of interesting. Social media may be a lot of fun on Thursday, just following along and seeing who's out there doing what. And, there's going to be somebody out there that thinks they're putting out some high quality stuff, and it's actually like hot garbage. Like it's like the Rebecca Black Friday video where her mom thought she was going to make her kid the next pop star. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the good news for the Trash Down South is they don't really have internet down there, so it's not going to be easy for them to put out that garbage.
Yeah, I would not expect to see anything from Trash Down South players until Friday or Saturday because the upload speeds on dial-up are very, very slow.
Takes a while, yeah.
So I just don't know if they'll be able to get there. Probably be some misconnections or something. It'll probably be jittery at best. But I mean, I think it'll be really interesting to see how it plays out. I'm sure we'll be talking about it a lot next week and really just the coming weeks. But if there's any Georgia State athletes that want to use us to promote themselves, let me know.
I got like $5.
Exactly.
Not $3.50.
Not $3.50. That's what I should have made the Patreon page. I should have made it $3.50 a month. So we can always say $3.50. $3.50.
$3.50. Not $3.50.
Not $3.50. All right, let's get into some Georgia State stuff. There was a really cool article that came out from some blog, Corn Sports, breaking down, doing a 2021 preview of Georgia State. I'm not sure if you saw this one or not, Ryan.
I didn't. I actually rely on you guys heavily to text me things like this.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there was a thread on PantherTalk, but it's a pretty good article. I have a hard time believing the guy too much because he spells offense and defense with a C. And if you don't know how to spell those words like we do in America, then you probably don't know what the hell you're talking about when it comes to American football. But,
well, the good news for that person is there is not American football over there. And so they probably are still following. I mean, you can only follow football from us. So they probably do know
exactly. It was a pretty good write-up. We've complained so many times about Georgia State, articles being written by the national people, and they obviously pay no attention to what's going on. They most of the time confuse our mascots with Southern and crap like that. But this was actually a pretty well-written article. I thought it was really good. He wasn't all praising Georgia State, but he kind of wrote out how, I guess the premise of his article was, you've got the elites of the Sun Belt, and then it's who's going to be the next team that could rise to be another elite Sun Belt team. And he kind of ignored all the programs that have new coaches starting this season. You said Southern's is in disarray. It pretty much said that leads to Georgia State. Then he tries to talk about why he thinks Georgia State has the chance to take that step. And and I'll put the link to the article in the description. But I liked his angle with the whole thing. He's like, I'm not saying Georgia State's going to take that next step this year. They're going to take the step at some point. It could be this year. They think that they said it's pretty much impossible this season, but nothing's impossible when it comes to. They talk about how so many times Georgia State's been on the cusp of breaking through, and just the quality of the team, the quality of the players, the talent has been there. And then for whatever reason, the ball doesn't bounce our way like last year with the 2 losses to App State and to Lafayette, with both one-score games. Overtime with Lafayette, who was ranked number 19 at the time, and having a lead against App until the last 5 minutes of the game. So it was kind of cool. One of the things he pointed out that I had not even realized the stat, because I don't pay attention to stats, but was talking about 2 touchdown losses in Coach Elliott's tenure with Georgia State. He comes in his first year, 2017, we had 4 losses by 2 or more touchdowns. 2018, 8 of our losses were by 2 or more. But 2019 down to 5. And then last year, just 1, just that Coastal game was the only one we had by 2 or more scores.
Which was a weird outlier.
A very weird outlier. So, I mean, I think that definitely shows a progression of balancing out the program with getting the offense and the defense together and being able to both work. It even says something along the lines of it's one of the schools that's been consistently improving the offense and defense in both seasons. So I thought it was a pretty cool article. He said it could be a top 25 caliber team that no one will ever find out about because of how difficult the East is in the Sun Belt.
Well, that's what I've noticed. The consistent thing is everyone seems to be pretty darn high on our team. But everyone also keeps looking at our schedule being like, but there's no way in hell they make it through the schedule looking good, just because we have like our schedule is just like maybe one of the most difficult comparatively in the country.
Yeah. The schedule is incredibly difficult. And if you just looked at the schedule and you didn't know the dates of anything, you just saw the teams were playing, you're like, man, that's a tough schedule. And then you look at that Nightmare in November. That sounds good. Nightmare in November. Write that one down. Nightmare in November, where we have those 3 road games.
I'm writing these things down for you, man. You keep telling me to write things down.
Hey, Tim's not here, so I need someone to write it down. Or I need someone to not write it down, but I can tell to write it down too.
Oh, boy.
Where we have, I think it's Lafayette, App, and the Trash Down South, all road games 3 weeks in a row. That's just brutal. The Sun Belt, once again, I got complained about their scheduling all the time. It's absolutely a brutal schedule to end the season that way. I think we start with Southern. Maybe it's Coastal.
I don't know. We just got to win. That's all. That's all I care about. We just got to win.
Well, and that's basically what the kind of article is kind of saying. Is like, if this team can figure out a way to beat these teams, App's at home, Alexa says. So it's going to be Lafayette, Coastal, and Trash Down South. If we can find a way to, win out or win these games, but with the ball to bounce our way, this is going to be an awesome season for the Panthers. Finally show some people what we've known is back there, capable of doing total potential all the time. Finally get the potential.
This is how you get ranked and get national attention, is by playing a really tough schedule and winning. So it's everything you got to do. You don't want to just play a bunch of cupcakes. So I'm a little bit like antsy about it, but it's a good thing.
I go back and forth. I get these high expectations. I think I've told you guys before that as I say you guys, Tim's not here, obviously. he's out doing something in San Francisco. I assume work related, but who knows with that guy. I don't know what that means. I forget what I was saying. I was saying, talking to you guys about all this crap. I've got no idea.
I don't know what you're saying.
I should not have tried to be funny. That's my problem. I should not have tried to be funny. And then,
he's probably watching anyway. He always is.
Yeah, he always. I haven't even checked the comments yet. He should probably be in there. Yeah.
Go on. What's up, man?
Dramatic pause. Pause.
You got all flustered. You're right.
I know. I'm like, I
really
wanted to say something, and I can't remember what it was. I'm sure
it's all right. We might get back to it. It's all good.
Incredibly insightful. But all right, another article. This is one I know you saw. It was the Underdog Dynasty previewing Georgia State's 2021 non-conference schedule, and I used to dog on Underdog Dynasty for barely knowing who the hell we were. This was a great article. It was fun. They go through the 4 games and pretty much talk about the ways to win. And I don't mean ways to win as far as what kind of offense or defense to run, but what it's going to take to win the game for all 4. And by the time you finish reading it, you're kind of like, I think we can win all 4 of these games. I think there's a chance. I was surprised to see something so positive from those guys.
Well, what I thought was weird is they sort of went the other way from us and said that North Carolina is like this winnable game, and they just sort of brush over the fact that their entire offensive and defensive line are back, or not entire, but a lot of them, saying that it's their skill positions that they flipped, and I'm like, well, that man, they even admit that those are the easier ones to replace the skill positions,
right?
And it's like, UNC's not looking good, and then they talk about Auburn as like the hardest game in our schedule, and I'm like, I think you're wrong. I think UNC is the hardest game on our schedule.
Right. We've been saying that. I mean, this entire offseason is that how we expected when these schedules were built, we expected UNC to be the potential P5 upset, and then Auburn to be the let's get out of there without getting too many injuries. And now we think Auburn may be the one we have a shot against compared to UNC. But he did make some good points. Zeke Palermo, new guy. I checked it out. New guy writing for Underdog Dynasty. He's covering Georgia State and the trash down south. So that sucks to be him. But he talking about the UNC losing the 5 players in the NFL, losing those skill position players. Yeah, I don't know. I did feel like he left me feeling like we have a much better shot against UNC than I feel like going into it. So I feel a lot better about it, just knowing a little bit more. It wasn't a lot.
I'm cynical at this point. It made me question his ability to figure out who's going to win what game. If he said we have I think it's a very long shot to win that game any given Saturday, but it's a long shot.
Well, he did say basically his ways to win for Georgia State was it really has nothing to do with what Georgia State does. In his way to win, it was should UNC in week 2 not figure out who their star players are because they've not replaced those skill positions, then maybe they stutter and we can capitalize on that. That's the way to win, according to him. And I'm like, all right, I can see that happening. I like that. Kind of knock him in the face. I don't think
he's ever seen our team play against a backup quarterback.
Or any Atlanta team play against a backup quarterback.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's nuts. It's crazy how good backup quarterbacks have looked against us. It's insane. There's no way that the law of averages is we're doing something. Something we're doing is making the backup quarterbacks better.
Well, maybe that's coaching. Maybe coaches don't have any film on these backup quarterbacks and don't know how to drop a game plan, don't know how to adjust during the game. Maybe. I don't know. Those are all words I've heard other people say before.
We're talking about football here.
Exactly. Yeah. But before UNC, we have Army. He talks about that, and it's basically this one is no brainer. It's stop the run. Army's a running team. Stop the run. He talks about how they were 4th in rushing last year, but we were 3rd in rush defense last year. So, I especially with this being the first game of the season, I see no reason why our rush defense does not just carry over from last year and we're able to handle Army. And he even notes it'd be a huge win to start the season. And I agree. Beating Army to set the stage of the season would be great for Georgia State.
Well, I think we're missing a major piece on defense with the kid that went to South Carolina.
Jordan Strahan.
Yeah,
but if you look at some of the other stats of other players, we had some guys that were also getting those sacks and putting pressure on the quarterback. Maybe somebody steps up. Let's hope they do.
Well, and I always like to say it's a team sport, so it's not like he's going to be the linchpin. There were other good players also playing on that defense. He didn't even play every snap. So
exactly. Now onto the Charlotte game. The Charlotte write-up was my favorite write-up because he pretty much threw shade the entire time, and it was fantastic. I think he starts off with the Charlotte one saying, while still a D1 Conference USA is distinctly lower tier of football than the Sun Belt. His key to win was effectively show up.
Yeah. That doesn't mean the Panthers can take a week off.
No, he says that as well. It's like, you got to play the game. That's why you do it and everything. But even says they have a handful of talent. Charlotte has a handful of talented players, but State's roster is better in every aspect. And that kind of stuff, that just kind of gives me chills. I love hearing that kind of crap, man. Just inject it directly into my veins.
People who are Southern fans.
Yeah, when Tim said he wasn't going to be here, I started preparing for this episode. I was like, maybe I'll get Zeke on the show. I want to hear more about what he has to say about Georgia State. I'm digging it. He's more positive than I am in general. So
why didn't you do that? Did you try?
I wanted to talk about the road trip stuff a lot more.
Well, we could have done that too.
That's true.
All right. True. No, it's fine. It's fine.
And then finally the Auburn game, the road trip game that we'll all be going to. Basically, the key to the win with this one was if the quarterback doesn't. So Bo Nix is their starting quarterback. He's not living up to the hype. If they decide to make a quarterback change against that week against us, then that's maybe our chance to win because we have a fresh guy. To your point, backup quarterbacks have been our Achilles heel, but that was his way that we could win that game. And I looked at their schedule. We are the definition of a trap game for them. So they host Akron, they host Alabama State. Those in Auburn's worst year, those should be 2 easy wins for them. They're at Penn State. Let's give them benefit of the doubt. They win at Penn State. The week after us, they're at LSU. Every single coach and every single player, I don't care what they say on national media, is going to be overlooking Georgia State and be focusing on LSU. So this definitely has the chance to be an ultimate trap game. And I want us to capitalize on that as much as possible.
I don't necessarily think they're going to overlook us because the thing is everybody's calling it a trap game and everybody's saying, look what they did to Tennessee. And I think that the coaches are going to be able to focus in on us with the players by saying, look at what they did at Tennessee. And I think that'll make a lot of players sit upright and actually take it seriously.
Do you think so? This is where we call them kids. Do you think these kids are really going to care about what they're saying? Like, yeah, that was just Tennessee. They suck already. They're not very good to begin with.
No, I don't think they're going to say that. I think they have a lot of respect for. I think they see that as a peer program, and that if we can do it there, we can do it anywhere.
Are you living in the 90s or something? Or is Peyton Manning still playing for Tennessee? When have they been good?
Tennessee is still recruits at a high level. They have all the pieces they need to be a good program. They just haven't done anything with it.
Then they opened their season with a loss at home to Georgia State.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because we're the dominant program now. Yeah.
I mean, they should be better than they have been even. So it's whatever.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I just think it looks like a great chance if everything plays out the way that this article reads, then which is obviously just like almost like a lottery win at this point. I think it's a chance that it could be a fun game, and we'll show up in our bus, and we will not be sleeping on the way back to Atlanta because we'll be partying, having beaten Auburn.
Wouldn't that be a fun bus ride home?
Oh yeah, yeah. Everyone's gonna have to Uber from the bus ride back to their house because they're gonna be too drunk from the drive home.
Oh wait, do we know where the bus is picking us up and dropping us off? At the stadium, right?
I'm working. I've talked to Georgia State and I've talked to Summerhill and trying to be one of the parking lots
cool.
over there. So I've got nothing locked down yet, but I'm working on that.
Yeah.
So
I'll be Ubering from there.
apparently, Auburn is way more responsive to me than my own university and my neighborhoods are, because I've not heard back from Georgia State or Summerhill, but I have heard back from Auburn about where we're going to be parking, and we're going to be like a half-mile walk to the stadium, but there's also the Tiger Shuttle that will drive us up from the drop-off point straight to the stadium.
Oh, really? Rad.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so that'll be good.
Do they have like a standard drop-off spot, like all the buses that come in drop off at the same place?
So we would be in the RV lot, and the Tiger Shuttle just makes this little lap around the little downtown Auburn area. So the RV lot has a shuttle drop-off spot that goes right up to the stadium, it looks like. So
sweet.
I feel it's a 0.7 mile walk. I feel like a lot of us will end up just getting a couple of roadies and walking.
Yeah,
to the
that's
stadium.
not that bad. Have you ever been to Auburn? I haven't.
I went down there for that basketball game that one time, but the bus dropped us off at the little bar district, and we had a few drinks, and then the bus picked us back up, and we went to the basketball arena. And that's what I wanted to do with our road trip bus. I wanted to have it drop down over there, and I just got nervous about after the game getting people to pick back up at a lot they had not been at, because I'd still have to park the bus at the same place. Yeah. And I'm like, how about all these drunk fools are going back to the place they came from? There's a better shot of getting
you made the right
there.
decision. Yeah, you were correct.
Yeah. So, all right. What else want to talk about, man?
I don't know. I don't ever have a ton of stuff. I sent you one article and even let you present it. So I say let.
I got a few. I've got a few. I definitely have a few things for last call, but yeah, I'll keep everything at like 32 minutes. Is pretty short.
We'll be like a third shorter, which makes sense.
Well, we do have a question here from Julian watching on the live stream here. Which P5 games you're most excited about? I'm curious if you mean this season, UNC and Auburn, or if you mean like upcoming and future schedules. Because future schedules, Georgia Tech's got to be the answer, right? I mean, do we call are they considered P5 still, or are they P5 light?
Oh, womp womp. Yeah, no, they're P5. Yeah, it's a conference distinction.
If it's all future schedules, then Georgia Tech by far is my favorite, the most excited about. If it is this season, then Auburn. I want to go to Auburn. It's a close trip. I want to do the road trip. I want to have the big party.
I still think with Georgia Tech, we should have like a parade from our campus to their campus.
Yeah, that's what I've talked about before we even scheduled the game, is basically just like have like a parade, like a tailgate parade where everyone shows up at Georgia State campus for a couple of hours, and you do your traditional tailgate stuff. You drink your beer, you cook your burgers, you eat your hot dogs, and then at some point, everyone says it's time to go, and we just walk down the street. Or hell, when I was thinking about it is when we were playing the Georgia Dome. But anyhow, get our route set up and just walk our way up to Georgia Tech's campus, walk straight into Bobby Dodd, walk out the W, go back to our tailgates, and have a good old day.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, they do, and for homecoming, they already do a parade with like a golf cart parade. So we know there's like a stockpile of golf carts somewhere that we can do this with.
We need to get like our own little Model T Ford or whatever the hell the Ramblin' Wreck is, and like soup it up and do it like Atlanta style. Get some flames on the side, get some booming speakers in there, some neon lights underneath it. Like
just like deck it out. Like let the Dungeon family just deck it out with however they want. Just be like, no, you guys just do anything you want.
ATL style.
That's right.
Pimp my Model T. Right. Yeah. Is it a Model T? I've got no idea what that car is.
I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah.
Ours will be.
Ours will be. There was one other thing that I don't even know where I put it in my notes here, but there was something I wanted to talk about because I'm annoyed. Where I put it? There it is. South Alabama is getting their own beer to be served in their football and basketball stadiums, and they partnered with some brewery down in Mobile, whatever. No, we talked about this before. Apparently, President Becker asked Charlie for this back when we were like playing in Oregon or something, and we still don't have a beer. We have Eventide right there in the Summerhill, we've got Halfway Crooks right next door to the stadium.
What
We
a
have,
cop
like,
out! If
87
Mark Becker really wanted it, he could have just done it without asking Charlie.
Yeah.
What a
Maybe
cop
the
out.
story's not true, but yeah,
I
so they're
blame
getting
Mark
their own
Becker.
beer. They asked for, on social media, they asked for name suggestions of the new beer, and there really wasn't a lot of them. They get about as much social media exposure as we do, and they're a full-on university. But so I came up with a couple of
So are we.
beer. No, I mean, this is like the South Alabama account, not like.
Oh, as we do, not I. So when you said we,
Podcast.
I thought you meant Georgia State, and I was like,
No,
what?
no. We would have gotten a lot better responses. A lot better.
Yeah,
responses.
okay. I was like, I don't understand.
So these names aren't very good, but this is what I came up with for beer name for South Alabama branded beer. Safety School.
Oof.
Safety. Yeah.
Rough.
Coastal Alabama.
Oh boy.
Which I kind of think that's what I want to call them now. That's what I call them, Coastal Alabama.
they might consider that a compliment, because I know Coastal is like your biggest rival at this point, but like.
Well, that's not so. One of the beer names that came up with was Bama Light, but I feel like that's actually too complimentary to them. So I came up with Couldn't Get Into Bama as a name, or
same
Auburn
as Safety
Dropout.
School, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Auburn Dropout as a beer name.
All right.
Yeah. And then the rest are really, really bad. So I'm not even talking about.
They're worse than those.
Yeah, they're really bad. They're really bad. So, all right. But I do have a couple of last call topics that I want to talk about. And
what would we name a beer? Have we talked about that before? I feel like it sounds familiar, but I'm usually pretty drunk.
Yeah, I know we've talked about, because we want to have a beer. There was crap. Now you put me on a spot. I can't even think of anything. There was something.
Well,
blue,
that's fine. I'm sorry.
Blue something I wanted to do. Panther Pilsner. With that.
That's easy. Yeah, some alliteration.
Yeah.
The I don't know. I can only think of Blue and White because that's the bar name.
Exactly. The Blue and White. Sorry, the Blue and the White, I think is what I want. I don't remember. So yeah. Anyhow, we can call it quits and head on over to the last call, talk about a few other things, and have a little more fun, candidly. So yes, once again, we have our first big event. State of Atlanta invades Auburn on September 25th. Bus trip leaving from Atlanta to Auburn and back same day. Go to auburn.stateofatlanta.com to get your tickets. Tickets just for the bus ride. I haven't got tickets to the game yet. We'll have to figure out tickets to the game. We don't have those figured out yet. But $55 until July 6th. It goes up. After that, as our standard pricing, you get $10 off if you are a Patreon member. So consider joining our Patreon, patreon.com/stateofatlanta, $3 a month. You get access to our discounts, merchandise, and events like this, as well as our private group chat and early access to the last call, which we're hopping on to now. So thanks, Ryan, for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Say goodbye, Ryan.
Goodbye, Ryan.